Great, thank you. You may begin. And I'll give you the capacity to screen share unless you want me to do that.
Uh,
So you can
I, I,
screen share, DeAmo.
I will definitely want to do that in just a moment. But
Sure,
I wanted to thank you. And excuse me if I'm looking off camera. I've got the split screen over here in a very small table
that's
to try
okay.
and do it. So I'm not looking away from you at all. This is My name is DeAmo Murphy, and I'm the External Affairs Director for Opportunity Resource Fund. I came in just after Jane Carpenter left,
Oh,
and after her retirement. So there was about a year and a half lull where we had people who were kind of pinch hitting the space on investors, and then I came in and it was folded into my function to not just do external affairs, which is some of the hunting and gathering, coalition building, the partnerships and developments, the things that we need to be partnered within the organization, but also to still maintain the relationship with the investors. And so I would give myself a low B on that because I know that we haven't had as much contact. We've been working over the last couple of years to refine the investor renewal process to make certain that we're getting key information out. At the end, as we go into the end of this year, one of the things that I'll be doing is bringing in an intern to help us to refine, to go through and set up those appointments and begin to do some of the touch, because I really want to spend some more time with our investors, and you'll see why in a moment. You know that we've got a long history with the Episcopal Church. Our foundations came from two organizations that were doing the same thing, the McGee Fund and then the Michigan Housing Trust. And through that time, from 1985 through our founding as Opportunity Resource Fund, somewhere around 2004, 2005, we have been always in the same mission-driven space. So we've never changed our mission. We've just refined it. And so today, just as always, the Episcopal Church and those individual investors and those institutional investors are still critical to the work that we do. The work is, as you know, is coming out of COVID, and then also coming out of from under this microscope of the George Floyd incident, required us all to look differently. And so when our board of directors, looked at the situation that was taking place and unfolding in our community and said, we've got to do something, I reminded them that we've been doing something that is in the justice space, and it's still necessary, because if we can close the economic gap, especially the racial wealth gap, we can begin to even out a lot of playing fields. And so one of the things that came out of that experience, I was blessed to be able to expand the Justice Fund initiative. It started out as a separate initiative, that's something that we were doing to make certain that we were able to reach deeper into the communities we were serving, the BIPOC communities that we're serving, and address the issues that we knew existed, right? We've been a lender of last resort for so often, right? Places where people come to get those loans when they couldn't go anywhere else, when they were either not available or they were turned down by the lending institutions. But what we recognize is that it wasn't just systemic racism that was causing them not to be able to access the capital. And it wasn't just a deficit of available capital. The problem really became the issue of they weren't ready for the capital that they were trying to seek. So we had people who needed to move from renting to home ownership, but they didn't have the core skills to move. And so we were trying to just find those people and handhold them through. And that's an arduous task, and it wasn't the most efficient way to do it. Now with this Justice Fund initiative, what we're able to do is to wrap our hands through community partners. The Episcopal Diocese is one of those core table partners, along with the Urban League of Detroit and Southeastern Michigan, along with Black United Fund, National Association of Realtors. We've got a very impressive table that's grown up, and we're all now rowing in the same direction and making certain that everyone sees that it's a comprehensive work, and to put redundant resources of community education on top of these organizations. And so now we're staffed properly. We've done a tech overhaul, and so that's going to help us with our communications a lot better. And we've refreshed our website. I will share with you just a brief presentation. You may have already seen some of this, because I think you should have received our most recent impact statement. Where is my share button? Here we go. All right, get this full screen for you. And I'll just walk you through. Can everyone see this screen, the impact statement on there?
No.
No, all we're seeing is you start screen sharing
Oh,
and
there
click.
it
Yeah.
comes.
There we go.
All
There
right.
we go.
Yeah, it's a big document, so it probably took a little while to do. So we'll do it this way. So our impact and focus now has broadened out. We've always been doing low to moderate income housing, whether that's workforce development in northern Michigan, whether that's making certain that there's affordable housing in rural areas, as well as wherever the low to moderate income pockets are. Our mission is still the same, but we know that in the concentrated areas in Michigan and in Detroit, Pontiac, Saginaw, Muskegon, areas where people are on the fringes of the city and they're placed out. We want to make certain that they have access to affordable housing. We want to make certain that they have access to reasonable business capital. And so we want to make certain that we're deploying equitable capital in everything that we're doing. And so we've just made it a point to let people know that over the time that we've been in place, we've deployed over $65 million in assets. And that comes heavily because we're invested in so well by the Episcopal Church, by the faith community, by the banks, and by the CDFI fund. What that then does in those investments is it allows us to go out and leverage additional dollars. This year, we were just successful through the Detroit CDFI Coalition of leveraging an additional $75 million. The first ever state CDFI fund was created. And that's not just for our fund. Our CEO, Christy Narayanan, is the chair of the Detroit CDFI Coalition. And so we try and place ourselves in those key positions so that we can continue to have our fund represented and have our interests represented so as this capital is deployed. One of the roles that I serve aside from Opportunity Resource Fund is I also serve on the statewide board of CEDM. So it puts us in that larger developer piece. We're actually going into strategic planning, and I'll have a voice inside of that table to make certain that all of the things that we're doing are mission aligned. You know that we had the pandemic. You know that we've had the struggle. One of the biggest successes that we had during that time, you may have heard about the payroll protection program, and how so many businesses coming through COVID were struggling making their payroll, making their rent payments. And so the PPP was available, but it didn't touch the ground. And so thank God that the op fund was in place and we were certified as an SBA lender. So we were able to do this, and we deployed an incredible amount of money. Almost $13 million was deployed in 1 year last year. And I think the overwhelming majority of that was PPP dollars. And that went to small businesses that were getting turned away from the banks. As you probably saw many of those news articles about how the larger companies were going in and taking up the money, and the banks were cherry picking people that were deposit holders first. And so we were able to do a lot of that work, and we did that with 2 loan officers and 1 underwriter. And so we're very proud of that work. Our board has grown and is really well represented. Amy Holby, who's our current board chair, quietly, and we're still waiting on it to be fully official, but it looks like she's moving toward to MISTA, and very well may be the head of MISTA in the next few months. So we're hoping that takes place. We don't see that as a conflict of interest. If it is, she'll step away from the chair and just be a board member. But that opens up a wealth of opportunities for us through the MISTA lending and through some of the other things. And so we've been aligning our organization to make sure that we're also a mission aligned organization to do the MISTA loans, because they have down payment assistance and other programs that are available that would help to expand our scope. And then we've got a good group of people from financial to real estate. Mark Craig heads up CHN up in Pontiac, which is a housing development corp. Tom Johnson also has, from Landmark Group, has that level of background. We've got HR represented on here, data and legal all represented on this board. And so we're very pleased about the work that they're doing. We're currently right now in strategic planning. We just started it. The board is now weaving JFI and Justice Fund initiative through every department and every function that we do, so that there's no more question about whether there's a separate organization or whether we're going in a different direction. It's that everyone that needs this help and justice and equitable access to capital will be able to come directly through us and get the same wraparound services and support, whether they're white and coming from White Lake, or whether, or from, somewhere up north near Muskegon or near Marquette, or whether they're down here in an urban area. They'll be able to access the same capital. We're setting up these tables in each area. I want to make certain that after this is over, I will get this to you if you haven't received it through our e-blast. And as I said, once we start to tighten up our email list, we'll make certain that everyone is on that going forward. We're still staying in our 3 lines of lending: home ownership, small business, and real estate development. And those 3 are key for us because it allows us to put the home ownership stake together and move people from renting to owning. It helps the small businesses that are past the ideation stage begin to move into the next levels that they need for scale. And real estate development helps to secure these neighborhoods because we've got small scale developers, 1 to 4 units, that are going in and gentrifying and renewing these areas in a sensible way, so that we're not against gentrification, we're against speculators coming in and buying up the property and driving the price up where it's unaffordable. And to give you a quick example of that, in Grand Rapids, that is exactly what's happened. We're not able to do mortgage lending right now because the price of the homes, as soon as they come on the market, there's so many bids for them that they're immediately moving out of focus. So I know that this is not the core of your meeting today, and so I just wanted to touch on a couple of highlights. In May of 21, we did start our Justice Fund initiative. These were the table partners that we began that process with. The Accounting Aid Society, Operation Hope out of Atlanta, the Accounting Aid Academy, so we have school, Detroit Future City, so strong partners, and the Episcopal Church in Buff. And then we have grown it to this in a year.
Wow.
And so we're really excited about it. Everyone we've talked to has wanted to be a part of this table. We've also have ancillarily Small Business Development Corporation, SBDC. We've got MEDC coming on board, and SBA directly. And so these will all be able to give us the resources that we need to help people get budgets in place, to get to get their skills together, to address credit issues, and to get them the information that they need to be able to move sensibly through the lending process. Our goal is to move our folks through the process and into traditional financing within a 5-year trajectory, so that we can recycle that money and begin to deploy it again, and we can also leverage additional dollars. We're doing that through the CDFI Coalition, through our partnerships with organizations like JP Morgan Chase, obviously with the Episcopal Church, which is 15% of our investor base. And so that's why this investment that I'm talking about for renewal today, these 2 are so important, because, and more than ever before, we've got 2 forms of investors that come out of the Episcopal Church: organizations and institutions like yourselves as congregations, and then the individual investors. The individual investors are beginning to age, and they're starting, and some of them weren't well heeled and just were doing this out of benevolence, and now they're needing to take those funds back down. So some of those are starting to draw down so they can retire, with dignity. But the organizations, we're really asking to not just stay, but to stay and double down, and allow us to continue to do the work and leverage against those funds. We've never lost $1 of investor dollars since we've been doing this. Not $1 is at risk. Even through the tough times, we keep a hardy loan loss reserve, and so your funds are always safe at our fund. And then I wanted to share with you just some of the jobs that we're doing in Grand Rapids. I said we couldn't do housing that well, but we have been able to do small business. And we're taking these businesses. This is a community-based business that is also employing other people out of that neighborhood. And so that small and mid-sized businesses are the driver in America. They're the driver in our state. There's a lot of resources that are coming online, and we want to make certain that the people have access that are going to stay and place make in their area and use those funds to help enhance the neighborhood and the people who live in the neighborhood. And then we also are still getting good, strong partnerships and testimonials. If you follow us on social media, you'll start to see some of those testimonials about how important the work is that we're doing, not just to us, not just to the investors, but to the end user, to the people who are saying, nobody's ever helped us like this. No one has ever given us access to information like this. No one has treated us with dignity like this. And so that is who we have been, and that's who we're always going to be. Our deployment, as I mentioned before, our lending activities were huge. 71% of that last year was in PPP dollars, and then the real estate and the small development and our mortgages. And so the mortgages are fantastic because we don't do credit score, we do character base, and it allows us to really, it allows us to really look past some issues, get them on track, and over that 5 years working with our customer experience ambassador, walk them through what they needed to know that they didn't know before. They're all low to moderate income loans. 55% of our financing went to women-led organizations. 32% of that went to minority women-led financing opportunities. And then all of our BIPAC financing, you can see, is the lion's share of all of the lending that we do. We are doing that in communities of color so that we can be available, because the larger CDFIs don't reach down to the grassroots level like we do. They're doing big scale development like tech deals and things like that, which are helpful, but the individual borrower has to go in. Our balance sheet and our financial position is always strong. As you can see, the lion's share of this work, we do have some nonprofit, but that includes CDFI Coalition as far as the 6 million, almost 7 million, but $3.5 million is coming from faith-based, and the majority of that is coming from the Episcopal Church in those small investments at 0 to 3%. And so we appreciate that you're doing, and we hope that you will continue to do it. Because of that, when we talk about leveraging funds, these are some of the allies that we're able to bring in: Ally Bank, Comerica Bank, Flagstar, Huntington. They want to see that we have some vested, investment other than them before they put their skin in the game. And that's what these investment portfolios allow us to do. Mm-hmm. We've got our Detroit Advisory Council and our Grand Rapids Advisory Council. We keep our staff lean but effective, and so everybody has multiple positions that they're doing and multiple things that they're doing, rather than staffing up one person, one task. And so we're very well cross-trained. And then we do have some donor advised monies coming in, and we're beginning to work with a trust company out of Boston that will begin to direct some more trust and donor advised funds to us, hopefully in the next year. So we're excited about all of the things that are coming online for us. Yeah, sorry about that. I thought that it looks like it's going backwards now, so I'll stop that share. But we're very pleased about the things that are taking place. And I want you to know that sometimes you'll see it as an investment and say, do we do this thumbs up or thumbs down? Do we do some capital improvements around the church and take this money out? Is it really doing a great job? It is doing an incredible job. And so I don't just come and ask you to renew. I'm beseeching you to renew. And one of the things that we'll be coming back to you about later on is Scott Hunter from the main church. They just took a brand new investment around this Justice Fund initiative, $10,000, and he's going to work with me after the conventions to begin talking to key pastors throughout the diocese to make certain that, one, we're fully back connected, and and everyone knows what we're doing currently, and talk about a challenge to begin to raise some substantial funds as an endowment. And so we would really welcome that opportunity to come back and talk to you about that again.
Thank you, DeAmo. So we do want to have you come and have an adult forum presentation on a Sunday morning. So you and I will do that offline, look at some dates and see when we can have you come. We've done that in the past. Jane Carpenter has come a couple of times too.
Would love to do that. And also I'll be at the convention the second day, not the first, that's taking place in here, and I'll be up in Lansing for the East-West convention the next week.
Oh, great. And then the other thing that would probably be helpful for you and for us is to have you come. We've just started at Christ Church. We've just started a major mission focus called the Intercultural Community Center in Dearborn.
That's beautiful.
We just had a celebration of our 1-year anniversary with a lot of community people who came and joined and participated in that meeting. A lot of activities that are going on, some action teams that are developing things, including some fundraising for the school systems on the southeast side of Dearborn, which is in the Yemen community.
Yes.
And it just occurs to me that there's probably some ways for Opportunity Resource and the ICCD to do some work together. So I'm going to send your email address to Jim Gettle, who's the strategy consultant for the ICCD, and he will email you when we have our meetings. And if you can join us for one of them, just let him know, and then we'll make time on our agenda for you to come. But I think there might be a place. It just occurs to me that there's some of the women who are doing work, some of the people who are trying to start initiatives, even some of the people who participate with us who might want to become try and take out a loan, and I don't think they know about Opportunity Resource. And I think that the people who participate with us would love to know about you and see how things can develop that way. Anyway,
That will be no. That's not an aside. That is perfect because what we're doing is building a campus without walls that is allowing
yeah,
us to share all that information and curate it. So
yeah.
yes,
Okay, so I will send your email address to Jim Gettle. We meet on Zoom because we're not all right here in Dearborn. Jim is in Wisconsin, for example.
okay.
So it's easy to jump in and meet with us. And I mean, don't you think, Chris, that would be a good connecting point? I think there's some
Yeah,
possible
for
ways.
sure.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Julia too. That's just the work that Julia's trying to do with building some things, some women-based and some Black initiative-based things in Dearborn. That there might be ways, in particular, for her work to benefit from Opportunity Resource. So
No,
anyway,
that's
so
typical work I do. So thank you.
yeah, you betcha. So questions, folks, that you might have for DeAmo? So DeAmo, we have what, 15,000? I don't remember how much we have invested with
Yeah,
Opportunity
it's
Resource.
15,000. I have to check the portfolio to see if you may have an additional one that cycles up. They may have, I think, renewed last year. So I will go back and double check
We
that.
have at least 15 with you. I know,
Yes, you have
as I
15
recall.
that are renewing this year,
Right.
and I will check the full portfolio size and get that information back to you.
And basically what happened with that 15,000, and Pete, maybe, and Chris, as you guys might remember, if I'm forgetting something, we had some funds left over from a capital campaign that we had a number of years ago before I came here. I've been here almost 12 years. And also we had money that was previously invested in Opportunity Resource. So we did two things as a vestry. One, we just gave Opportunity Resource a chunk of money that we didn't, that we're not, that, it's not a loan. We just gave it to them. And that was a while ago, and I don't recall how much that was. It might have been $5,000. I don't remember exactly. And then we had two recurring loans that those are the ones that have just renewed. So over the course of the 12 years, there have been three initiatives. One was just a straight out give, and then there were two loans that renew. Do you guys remember anything differently than that, Chris, Pete?
Yeah, one of the loans has no interest and the other loan has a low interest.
That's correct. I think we gave one, then we had one no interest and one with interest. I think those are, if I recall correctly, there were the three. You're right, Pete. Yeah. So we have been a long, long time investors with Opportunity Resource, way back for many, 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 many years. And it's always been, I've always found it to be a really profound. It started off as something through the diocese, didn't it, DeAmo? Way
Yeah,
back.
it started with the McGee Fund.
That's what I thought.
And so there were things that the McGee Fund was offering that the trust was not, the Michigan Housing Trust. And so as they began to merge together and become this new entity, each brought something different. We were able to do the home ownership loan.
Yeah.
And we were also able to now meld in those investments, and that was very important because it gave us the ability to do that even more. We've got a whole new generation that wants to socially impact invest,
Yeah.
but they don't know exactly how to do it with us, and so we're still trying to figure out the way to do it in their language, in their data language.
Right. So McGahey was a bishop in the Diocese of Michigan in
Yes.
the 70s, I
70s.
think the 70s, before my time here in the 70s. And so the fund started through either something he did or a bequest he left or somehow, and so it had his name on it for a while. And then it evolved into Opportunity Resource with other aspects to it. So
And it still remains a fund inside of Op Fund.
Gotcha.
So we have it as a designated fund. So all of
Gotcha.
our faith base are invested in the McGee Fund.
Got it. Okay, I understand. All right. So my point is that we have been participants in this for probably since the 70s, I imagine. So a long time. So questions for DeAmo? Anyone? Dale, you're muted.
You talk about working with people that take out the loans that may not, that have had trouble in the past,
Yes.
kind of managing that kind of economic step forward. How do you do that? How do you mentor? I guess it would be kind of a mentoring program, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so that we're excited about that because we were able to do it without having to increase our bandwidth, without having to increase our staffing and become a social service aspect of that. So what we did was we looked at all of the existing trainings that are in place, and a lot of the partners like Build Institute for the business side, a lot of SBDC that has business resources. People just didn't even know to go there. So we brought in one staff person, a customer experience ambassador. So when you come through our website, you can hit the intake form. We do a quick assessment to find out where your gaps are, and we direct you to those partners specifically to address those issues, whether that's credit, whether that's budgeting, whether that's just general knowledge about that, whether you need a business plan. And we walk you through those processes through the organizations that are currently doing it that had unspent capacity, and we'd send them over there. But we're now tracking them, and we're not just referring them away. We know exactly what they got, when they got it, and when they're ready for that lending. And then all the way through the process, we take them to what the goal is. The goal is ultimately to be able to walk into a bank and get the best interest rate, and get and know that your package is fundable.
Right.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, we're very deliberate about that. And we know that some of those people will not come back to us. They actually might find that their credit score goes up and they're actually able to walk right into a Chase or go get a loan. Great. Bully, that's exactly what we want you to do. We want our loans to be available as a triage over these 5 years to get you from one bridge to the next, and know that you have a way out of that. And so it's really stocking the pond for everybody that's in this ecosystem to do the right thing. Thank you for your question.
Certainly. Thank you.
Any other questions? So I think what Kevin has asked us to do, and so we'll let DeAmo go in a minute if we have any more questions for him, was to actually make a motion to approve the reinvestment of those funds with Opportunity Resource. So we'll have a second to talk about that without DeAmo here, and then vote on that. Any more questions, Chris or Pete or Celia? Anyone have any?
No.
If you have any questions, you can always email them. Let me know, and we can email DeAmo. And like I said, we'll invite him back for an adult forum so he can present this to the whole parish coming up sometime in October or November or something. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to join today. I really appreciate it. I always love an opportunity to talk about our fund. And I'm glad that we're finishing right here, because I've got to go and grab my vaccines, one in each arm.
Oh, there you go. Yikes. We'll feel better tomorrow, I hope.
I hope. We'll see. I got a busy day
getting flu
tomorrow,
in the next
so I
COVID
may be
one?
doing it like this.
Yeah. Well, your immune system might give you a little challenge for the next day or two, but you'll be all right.
I'll be all right. This is my 4th booster, so
there
I
you
should
go.
be good.
Good. Thanks,
I did
DeAmo,
mine
so
on
much.
Thank you all so much.
Friday.
Take care. Be well. Yes.
He had his on Friday. He says he's fine.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to hear. Good, encouraging words.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you so
All right,
much.
thank you. We'll be in
Take
touch.
care. Bye.
Bye. All right. I've always found their work to be really amazing and really profound. And I just love how they try and fit this gap between the really poor and the in-between people who just need something, that they're there for. I mean, they're there for others as well, but they're definitely there for the in-between people, which I think is just such a vital response
Guide
to
them
it.
through the process too,
Mm-hmm. And I love that they don't use credit scores, that they do character, because credit scores are a scam. Credit scores are a scam. When I bought my first house, they didn't have credit scores. That was not something that existed. Credit scores have evolved in the 2000s. I don't know exactly the evolution of them, but they didn't have credit scores. You had other things, but not that. So they're a scam.
In the 90s, the company I worked for relied a lot on credit scores. It was a phone company, but so often applicants that didn't meet the credit threshold, it was medical bills that they had. And so we sort of had an internal policy. If it was a medical bill, then it's like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah. But that was Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Seattle might have some compassion, and not everybody.
Well,
no, not
probably not
necessarily.
anymore.
It's still a corporation. Yeah. All right. Anything you want to talk about before we make this motion and give the feedback to Kevin? All right, so I need someone to make the motion to, so you can vote no. If you don't want to, if you don't want to reinvest the funds, you can vote no. So this isn't making you do it, but we need a motion to reinvest the same funds we have, the same $15,000 is to reinvest in back-end opportunity resource. Would someone make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Dale makes it. Will someone second it?
I'll
I can second
second.
that, or Jill,
Okay,
either way.
Chris is seconding it. Okay, any more discussion about? Okay, all in favor, can you raise your hands? Okay, motion passes. Great.